my harm coming up and turning the monitor on.
Okay.
They can't get my fingerprints.
All right, let's bring together the meeting of the City Council Public Safety Subcommittee for April 13th, 2015. The time is 6:30 p.m. We have Councilor Hagan and Councilor Jordan with us. Lindsay Penner and Paul from Verizon. Public speak time. We do not have minutes from the previous meeting, so public speak time, seeing no one here from the public. Moving on to emergency pole location at Williston Avenue. So this, we just got. Are you here to speak about that pole?
I am.
Before we get
Please
into
go forward.
Before we get in, and again, I just don't want us to hear it and then have a problem. I don't have a problem with this at all. But this has never been in front of the council or sent to subcommittee. Is this what Joe's?
Right.
Originally, and then there was another email saying he didn't think it had to be. I guess that's what.
So, I want to
Again,
have the public meeting.
I don't want necessarily another meeting. I know you're going to have to set the public hearing anyway, so it's not that. I just don't want to do it if it's not done properly, and then somebody come back and say procedurally.
I mean, I can tell you what I've learned during this process in
Sure.
terms of the procedure, although Jen probably can speak to as well.
Whichever.
Yeah, I just want us to do it now. I think we have enough time, and then on Wednesday we can set the public hearing.
Okay. I had no problem setting the public hearing. It's just a matter of sending it to committee or how it got here.
Yeah. No, it seems like there was conflicting information, but it looks like we are going to have to wait until the next.
Okay. Because the one piece that I found, although we do this on a daily basis, and this is just me poking around, is that under Chapter 166, Section 22G, it says that the Board of Selectmen or City Council of any municipality may grant special permission for such period and on such terms as it may deem appropriate in cases of emergency or unusual circumstances, which I think Verizon's going to need to prove, without discrimination as to any person or utility to erect, construct, install, maintain, use, or operate poles or overhead wires and associated overhead structures. Blah, blah, blah. So with that, I think if they prove that it's an emergency and you deem that it is, it seems that, you could make a decision. And then my conversations with Eversource was, and then have a pole placement public hearing after the fact, giving them permission to do the work. Again, proving that it's an emergency.
Right.
That's sort of their burden to do that. So, and then the correspondence that I got back. Now, I didn't know if Rule 22D was the council's emergency provision. That's
22G?
D is what.
I have 22G.
22G is this from the
Right.
Master General Law. The council has their own emergency provision, right?
We can vote on something on one night.
In one night.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if that was, he wasn't saying to enact Rule 22D, whether that was the council, reference to the council.
Yeah, Barbara seems to think that a vote could be taken at the April 15th meeting to allow the emergency erection of a pole.
It can, as long as we hold this meeting before and it was posted, which it was. This meeting was posted as
This was definitely
the emergency
posted.
pole location, Williston Avenue.
Yep.
And then the joint pole location for Coleman Road and Route 10.
And it's on for a
And
public
that's
hearing
already
for
on for
Wednesday.
public hearing. So yeah, as long as we hold the public safety meeting and we report back to full city council that we got it, it's emergency, and that we can absolutely vote.
Well, and the other part of that was making sure that we heard from Verizon about
Correct.
the information.
But-
Correct.
So,
If I understand what Jessica's saying, there's still going to be a public hearing down the line?
Well,
This
that's-
isn't set for a public hearing this Wednesday. That's the other one.
No, my understanding was that.
We can do it without a
say
public
that you
hearing?
could I mean, the law, the
If
state law
we
says
agree
if
it's
you
an
agree it's an emergency or unusual circumstance,
Gotcha.
We can.
you can do that. You can grant the permission, and now Verizon might have a different opinion since they're a different company, but when I had conversations with Eversource, their recommendation was give them permission if it was their pole, and then they would come back and do the pole placement public hearing process formally so that it could be formalized. This is their pole and they might have a different opinion, so I don't want
It's a
to.
Verizon pole?
It's a Verizon pole.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we are the only abutter, the city of East Hampton.
Verizon owns the poles.
So as I
Thank
said, my
God.
questions aren't over the pole, it's over the process.
Process, absolutely. No, and I think it took a lot of back and forth and
Right.
a lot of email exchanges to figure out what that process would be, but maybe.
So Paul, would you like to tell us how dangerous this pole is?
Which pole is it?
That
Well-
one that's leaning.
This
That, the one that's leaning? Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
First of all, for the record, so I'm perfectly clear. I
What's
work
your last name? I'm sorry.
Davis, so my name's Paul Davis.
Okay.
I work for a company by the name of UC Synergetic. I'm a design engineer for them, and we're contracted by Verizon as a design engineering company. So just to let you know that I'm not officially a Verizon employee.
Thank you.
However, and I do not have inside information within Verizon, but they do contract us to do engineering type work like this, okay? So that's the first thing. So moving on to the pole issue, as we're sitting here looking out through this very small tree here, the pole right there is the pole in question, 15, 20 feet to the right of that lady next to you, she's walking right in front of her.
Right there.
So that's the pole in question. The situation is, as you look at it, to the left you'll see a yellow guard, a guy guard, and a gray guy guard, okay? Just hanging there. So originally, when the pole was set, those two guy wires dead-ended that pole, meaning those two guy wires came down to an anchor, probably somewhere behind that sign, and were guyed to an anchor, creating what they call a dead end on the pole. If you look at that pole over there on Cottage Road, Cottage Street, that's what it looked like at one time, with the two guys coming down to the ground behind it, so on and so forth. But now, because it's unguyed, there is no tension and or support for that pole. So what has happened over time, not knowing how long it's been unguyed like this, it's been like that for a while. Because I looked at it in Google Street Maps, and I believe the date was like 2009 or whatever the heck it was. Anyways, it's been unguyed for a while. So what happens over time, because it's unguyed, it's not supported. So the tension of it, the tension on the pole, currently is pulling the pole towards the pond. Right now, if you go out and look at it, from that second pole to this pole, it's roughly leaning about 4 to 5 feet towards the pond, which I've seen worse, but it's not obviously a good situation.
Yeah, Jessica got a really
Being
good
that it's
picture
here
of
at
it
an
and sent it to
intersection
us,
and so on and so forth, so it's really not in a really good situation. Plus, it's what they call a riser pole. You see the pipes going up the side of the pole there? That's not good, because the electric goes down the side of the pole, goes in the ground, and so on and so forth, so that's not a good situation. So I believe last week or the week prior, week and a half ago, whatever it was, a colleague of mine met with Eversource out here, and while they were out here trying to figure out a solution to this issue, somebody from the council ran out and met with them. I don't know who it was. She didn't give a name. But
I ran by because I was going out
Was
to
it
do
you?
something, so it was probably
Okay.
me. And
Yeah,
I had
all
a
right.
quick conversation with them,
Yeah.
very quick.
Anyway, so long story short with that, they decided that it would be best, or the resolution to this problem would be, as we look over down here in the grass behind the curb, there are two stakes. The one closest, the one closest to the road would be the pole, and the one behind it, 6 feet behind it at an angle, would be the anchor. So what would happen in the end, if the council agrees and approves and so on and so forth, is that the pole would be erected, a 35-foot pole would be erected right here. A guy wire would go from that leaning pole, or they'd try to straighten the pole as much as possible first. Then the guy wire would come from that pole to this pole here where the stake is, and then there'd be a down guy that would be right here in the front of the building.
So would there be power on it, or just a
No,
pole,
it
just
would
like a
just-
support?
Just
it would
a
So you're
support.
not bringing any wires
Just
over,
a
just a
support.
support
Just
pole
a
up.
guy wire,
The guide wire comes over onto the pole and then,
correct. So it comes across to the pole, then it would be back guide down to an anchor on the ground.
Is it guide or guide?
Guide,
Yeah, right. That's what I
G-U-I-D-E.
thought.
It would be guide.
Mm-hmm.
I studied this thing for almost 45 minutes prior to this meeting. And I looked at it from every angle, and it's really unfortunate that they started construction on this, whatever, sidewalk or whatever it is, patio, plank deck, whatever you want to call it. In that, the only other option to a resolution to this pole would be what they call a push brace. I don't see any here in view, but basically, I'm sure you've all seen them. They're an angled pole that support, that they lean up against the pole. However, based on the bank and the pond and the water and conservation and all that, I'm sure there'd be a conservation issue.
Need to bank it.
Yeah, you could just go downstairs.
Well, and this is gonna be a heavy pedestrian.
Yeah,
area.
and you don't want it overhanging the deck,
This
obviously.
is the best
So
solution.
on and so forth. So it's really the only solution, to be honest with you. I can't think of any other way to guide this pole or get it so that it doesn't fall into the pond eventually. It's also unfortunate that in the beginning, it's too bad that that pole over there on Cottage Street could not have been what they call a riser pole, where all of the cables and all the utilities go down the pole, underground, around the corner, and over to that second pole. That way, if that was done in the beginning, you'd have nothing but an unobstructed view right here, which is really a lost opportunity. Because right now, currently, you have 5 utilities on that pole and this one as well.
Wow.
Which they would have to, re-cable, and it would just be a major project. Plus, you already got half of this constructed, and they'd have to put conduit in the ground, and it would just be a major deal.
We did have a conversation.
But in the beginning, and
about
that's
it,
too
but
bad,
it's
yeah.
expensive.
It's too bad that was a missing.
Yeah, it is
opportunity.
expensive.
Yeah. So anyways, that was another solution I thought of. I don't think it's
Yeah, but-
way beyond that at this point. But anyway, so that's basically it. To be honest with you, it's really, this is what you got here is really the only solution to.
Well, and speaking of cost, and forgive my English, this is something that the city's gonna have to pay for it all, right? Or are we gonna have to pay for it?
I don't really know anything
I haven't
about
heard
the
anything about
cost, to
cost.
be honest with you. We have to discuss that with Verizon.
Usually when Verizon does something like this, I mean, they did it on my property.
Yeah.
They had to get, for the pole across the street, the one that got snapped when the microburst went flying through, and that pole across the street went, precariously. It was on city property, and Verizon did it because they had to keep the pole
Right.
upright, so it was more.
And it's something
it
that's just gone on with this pole because
Yeah,
of the
it-
way it was initially set up.
See, that was my question, was it caused because they pulled the guide wires out of the ground, or somehow they got taken
Yes.
out of the ground because of the construction?
Yeah, basically,
And-
like I said, that pole there used to look like that pole there.
Mhm.
That pole's nice and straight,
Right,
it's well
right, right.
supported, so on and so forth. But because the guy wires were taken out of the ground and now has no support, it's just flopping over.
And
Just
you
on-
looked at a map
Just on the
from,
weight of it, is it?
So we don't know when those guide wires were taken
No,
out.
it's
It wasn't
been-
from
it's
the
been
construction.
several
It's been
years, let's
several
put-
years.
let's put it that way.
Okay, that's,
yeah.
To answer your question, I used the tent analogy. When you put up a tent, you have 4 corners, and what do you do with the 4 corners? You pull a rope or whatever, and you put a stake in the ground. That's basically what you got here. There's nothing supporting it. So the stake in the ground, or the analogy with the tent, would be the guy wire over to the pole, pull it tight, put it in the ground, and that would support it. So everybody likes the tent analogy because they understand.
Makes
Everybody's
sense.
keeping.
So how tall does the pole on this side of the street need to be if
That-
it's just being used for support? Can we make that kind of minimal?
It'll be a 35-foot pole.
How high is that?
That's a 40-foot.
40.
They only go down in 5-foot increments. You can't have a 30 because otherwise the guy wire will come down too much of an
Oh,
angle.
gotcha.
And you need clearance above the road because I'm sure there are plenty of trucks that come
trucks
through
and
here.
things, yep.
So it'd be a 35-foot pole. So it'd be 5 foot shorter than that one.
So basically, our emergency here is the stability of this pole.
Correct.
It's not going to get any straighter.
Well-
on its own,
Like I said, Verizon will come out and try to straighten it as much as they can.
before they put the,
Right, they'll put a clamp on it and pull it and see if it's got any, give to it. they'll straighten as much as they can and they'll guy it tight when it's as straight as it can be, as they can get it, I should say. So,
I mean, obviously, once they finish this boardwalk, I don't think we want a pole that's leaning
no.
toward people that might be walking on it.
No, and we're actually gonna be pouring concrete here within the next probably 2 weeks, so.
There you go.
So this needs to be resolved before the concrete
Yeah.
can get poured. I mean, he could skip
There's
the
your
section
emergency.
and go,
Yeah.
you know, skip it, but it would, but then
Eventually.
that concrete's gonna look different than
Right, it's
stuff
just
that
not
was
gonna
poured
cure.
before, because it wasn't curing at the same time, so it'll look funky. So, so the
Not
boardwalk
cool
guys are
James
kind
Brown
of
kind of way.
anxious to see this resolved, just so they can continue with the concrete pour on
Yeah,
that location.
there's kind of our emergency right there.
Yeah, I thought the images alone
Yeah.
were enough to be like, that's no good.
Yeah.
So,
That's it.
Sooner than later, because we don't know how soon they're gonna act on it even when we do. I mean, this isn't gonna happen.
Right, sometimes we,
It's gonna maybe take a couple weeks for them to
How
put the
long would
work
it-
order in and.
How long would it take? I mean, if you,
To
so say,
To place the
say
pole, you mean?
theoretically, council voted to make this happen on Wednesday. When's the earliest somebody
Well-
would get out there to make something happen?
see, again, not knowing what the construction schedule is, that would, again, that would have to be something you guys would have to bring up with Verizon.
Okay.
I don't know if they have an emergency schedule or not, so.
Who, the construction guys?
Yeah.
Our, your guys or ours?
Right, I don't know what the schedule is.
Sooner to get it on the docket than
Yeah,
later.
to be honest with you. What I can tell you is that tomorrow on my end, this will be in the works, meaning I'll report back to my boss and he will send it to Verizon, the results of this meeting. So, as far as I'm concerned, this will be resolved on our end by tomorrow. And then it's up to Verizon to pick up the ball and, get the pole out here and get everything situated, so.
Is there somebody, maybe after the meeting, you can send me some contact
Yeah.
with Verizon? that-
Yeah, Albacet would be the guy you want to talk to. He's the right-of-way agent.
Al,
Albacet, Bessette. And I believe his contact information is on the full petition
okay. I don't
that
know.
the town has. The town should have this.
yep.
Okay, I hadn't seen that, so,
And I
okay.
believe his name and contact information is on there
Okay,
somewhere.
I can get that from.
His name is, but I think
at the bottom, I think there's signature.
contact information.
This is up here?
Yep,
These phone
he's the
numbers?
guy you want to talk to.
Okay,
And he can give you the schedule information on that.
okay. Thank you.
Joy, just one question for you, because I know you're a bus expert. My only concern always on the street is always busing and stuff, but I think this pole's far enough from our entrance.
Oh, oh, yeah, no, that's fine.
Because I know they got that other pole there, and the fence actually
Well,
blocks,
it's
I think
gonna-
blocks your view more than the pole.
It's actually, the pole is probably gonna be right in front of the bench.
Well, he said the, right there on
No,
the
it's
stake.
those
The pole
Right at that-
It's where the two stakes are?
Yeah,
See the
that's-
Oh,
stake?
that's not gonna impede.
No, that's why I didn't think so, I just.
Yeah, it's the stake closest to the
No,
curb.
you got the sidewalk there, and there's what, a 2 foot, 1 foot, 1.5 foot from the sidewalk up in the air?
Yeah, it's 3 feet from the edge
You'd
of the
have to
curb
be
the sidewalk.
really off the road to be
No, I just wanted.
messing with that. That other pole is in more peril than
Right,
this.
this one here is more than, that's not part of the
Yeah.
one, that's the light for the.
Yeah, but I
I'm looking
mean-
more, because I do think, and hopefully, I think we're gonna have more people utilizing our parking lot. And different hours. I'm just looking
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
at it from a standpoint of more traffic going in.
Yeah, it's not gonna be
This one, in
anywhere
my
near
opinion,
the
would be far enough off the, as I said, I think that fence would block you more than another pole.
Yeah.
And I had taken the mayor as is on board with putting a pole there on there.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah. she's
Safety
she-
first.
She's a little upset it would block her view from her office.
but I don't think it quite, well, maybe back down.
What?
We do what we need to do.
Well, thank you for coming early and putting those stakes in. It really helped.
Yes,
Who knew
really.
we were going to be meeting right here?
Yeah, I know, and I walked in, I'm like, wow, this is great. This is
I know, he
this
came
is
in
better
and
than
he
PowerPoint.
looks and he goes, oh,
This is the first
I'm gonna
for me."
sit over here. He says,
Yeah, that's what
I'm
you
like,
say.
I'm looking at it like, what are you? And then it's like, oh,
Just like a site visit without having to go on.
Yeah, really.
Because usually I have to explain this stuff, and I'm looking like I got 5 eyeballs, so anyways, this was easy.
okay.
Does somebody want to make a motion? Do you want to use this language here? Does that make sense? You have
He's just being really
I'm all-
crabby tonight, isn't he?
No. Make the following motion that the Public Safety Subcommittee recommend that the full council approve Verizon and New England Incorporated and Western Mass, well, it's now Eversource. B, and they thereby grant joint and identical locations for and permission to erect and maintain poles and their respective wires and cables to be placed thereupon, together with the anchors, guys. I'll put this all up.
No, I'm not doing it. Just make it sweet and simple, please.
On the public way referred. That's what Jen wanted me to do. So basically, I'll make the motion that we approve the new pole, anchor pole being placed on Williston, northwesterly side of Williston Ave to support the pole that's on the southeasterly side of Williston Ave. How's that?
Do I
Right there,
have a
Rebecca?
second? Any other
From
discussion?
now on, I'm making the motions.
Jen,
There's
you
my
want me to read the whole
discussion.
thing? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, thank you. Paul Davis, thank you very much for coming in.
All right, well, thanks for having me.
Thank you for rearranging your meeting schedule and making this happen on your and the council's.
It's all right. We got a 6, I went and looked at another poll, and then I came back for 6:30.
Maybe Paul can help us with that.
I don't know nothing about that. Show me some plans and get something in front of me and
Oh,
I can
actually,
make
you have the
sense out of
plans, don't
it.
you? We have the plans, there you go. And a picture.
Unless the councilors need me for anything else, I'm going to go back
No.
to Conservation Commission.
Just-
No, we're good.
I'm not putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
This is, as you head back, I don't know which way you came into town, from
I
Southampton?
came up
Oh, okay.
that way, yeah.
Are you familiar with going back through
Right.
Southampton,
So
Westfield?
this is Coleman Road and Route
Not
10.
really, but anyways.
Anyway, this is Route 10,
Yeah.
Main Street. There's like a big Y over here. This is Southampton. This is kind of right on the border.
Yeah.
And there's a pole here, and I think they're moving it, and that's our only question, I think, or one of them was 194 feet
Yeah.
from the center line down to here. There's any way, this is 130, so it'd be somewhere like, we didn't want to block in this house, but if, so this line here would be 132 feet. Where would it go to? I guess that's can you read that?
Yeah, basically, this looks like, well, this pole's being replaced. And that one looks...
This is gonna be a
this
new
is-
one.
this
So
is
I spoke with them today, and
this
they're
is
putting
the
that pole
petition
in because there's too much of a span,
Right.
and the wires are sagging. So they want to bring this so that bring the wires up a little bit.
So it's gonna be a new pole somewhere around
Yeah,
here, and I
that's what I'm
we just wanted to make sure it doesn't block these individuals' house, but I'm assuming they're far enough. Did they say generally?
I wasn't able to figure it out, and that's why I went down to take a look. And I mean, this is definitely an entrance to their house. There's like a little walkway there.
Yeah.
So this is some sort of utility cabinet on their property as well.
Yes, this thing here.
And the house kind of actually kind of looked empty.
I just didn't know by that
Regardless, but
132
irregardless.
feet if you could tell what, I know it's obviously from here, but
So the 132S is from where to where?
that's what I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really say.
If I knew how
What
wide,
does this number mean?
That's the pole.
that's the pole number.
T1.
If I knew how wide the street was roughly, then I could kind of figure it
The
out.
street is kind of the
It's a
standard.
main, it'd be like 141, it's a state highway, so, it's like 2 lanes and 2 breakdown lanes.
It's almost as wide as this intersection.
As I say, it's 2 lanes and 2 breakdown lanes.
Not quite though.
My guess would be that what we try to do is we try to avoid placing
Doing it
poles
from some.
In
in front of houses
yeah.
at all costs.
Yeah, they do.
Because people obviously don't want to look at them. So my guess would be that it's somewhere in between the edge of the house and whatever this...
Yeah, there is like something used, that's probably where, I think it's gonna be in
I'm
there.
guessing it's probably...
I had just wish on their little drawing, they put the
Yeah,
house in. you know,
that's what I was
Yeah.
trying to figure out too.
So...
Yeah, again, I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah, that would be my guess. And it would be what, I think the pole line's on this side of the street, yeah. It would be what they call an inline pole, so there would be no guys, no anchors, it would just be a
Straight
straight
up.
pole, that's it. So wherever the 94 feet falls from the
Center or right.
to here is where it is going. And there should be a stake there.
Yeah, that's what I didn't, unless there was a
should
stake.
be.
Well, they put the stake in the
Oh.
fall.
Oh, in the fall.
And I
I was
said,
gonna
do you think
say-
it's still going to be there?
And what happens is they either get whacked by
By the plow
plows
or the
kids or
or the
whoever
or something.
walks by and pull it out and they throw
No, and that was the
wood.
whole thing. I drove down there, I took a look.
Yeah, because that's usually there's a stake, and that's when
Yeah.
I buy it, I didn't see a stake.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So, anyway, so I guess if you know what your stride is, whether it's 3-4 feet.
Right, you
walk
can just kind of pace it off and see how close it is. If it's close,
My guess is it's
It's
somewhere
gonna
in
be
that
in
area.
there. Okay, great.
That
As
would
I
be
said, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
As long as I had you here, I figured.
Yeah, so I spoke to Jerry Mulangoski today.
He's, I guess this is Eversource.
I think it's Eversource. It is Eversource because I said, can you please talk?
Because we got both Verizon and Eversource.
Right.
Yeah, but usually it's the Verizon people that do the pole placements and the engineering and,
Well, the town of East Hampton is what they call a Verizon set area. So
Yeah.
Verizon is responsible for
Right.
placing the poles in town.
yeah.
And then other cities and other towns, it's a different arrangement. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
electric, sometimes it's Verizon. So, but in this particular case, it's Verizon set area. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, so they're
So it's
responsible.
their poles.
Yeah. So when I spoke to him, he said that was the reason why, and I said, have you talked to, I didn't see anybody, I mean, the house looked empty.
Yeah, it kinda
I was gonna
looks-
go and knock on the door, you know, and just see if they had talked to anybody, and there wasn't anything there, so,
And that's the pole coming up. Was it Wednesday night?
yeah.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So I think Jerry is gonna be here, so we can ask.
Can ask him.
Yeah, just to make sure it's not gonna be from them.
That's all I care.
Because, you know, even if they sent them something to a butter and it's an empty home, you know, I just want to make sure we do the right thing with that. And like you said, those two images were a little,
Yes, I mean, it
It's
was.
really tough to
They were
tell.
there, just they can't.
and any chance of there being a stake in the yard is
Is
long
long.
past. And the second thing I did is I talked to him and I said, can you please get in touch and update who our city councilors are? It's nearly a year and a half at this point.
It's just,
Can you correct
Yeah.
this? And so,
They had no problem changing their name as quickly as they did, though, did they?
moving on.
Bills, advertising, all of it.
So that's fine to go forward with the public hearing, I think, but we do have some questions at the public hearing. So I don't know if we want to make a motion now. I mean, I kind of want the information on where exactly that pole's going to be.
I mean, I don't have a problem approving the poll based upon the results of the public, you know, like we can put a caveat based upon.
That's what I'd like to do, yeah.
And it's not blocking.
Right.
Whichever you're sure a representative's going to come.
Oh, they'll be there. Especially if she's already called them in with questions. And if they don't, then they don't get the poll. And they'll be at our next meeting.
So there. I'll just sick joy on them.
Hey, no problem. I've been up against worse.
So do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve the poll placement depending on the questions being answered at the public hearing.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Thanks for your
extra
help. Oh,
expertise. We appreciate you staying.
All right.
So 15 more minutes on Verizon to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you going to be at our meeting Wednesday? or are
See
you
if it
gonna
gets through
stay
on
up
it.
there?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it yet, so I don't know whether it's an electric situation or not. So I don't know.
That's your situation,
So-
not yours.
I don't know
Verizon,
who's going to be
You're
there,
only
but
a
I haven't heard anything yet.
engineer
So
only.
If I see you, I'll see you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay, continuing business, discussion on the draft street acceptance protocol. I still need to send those out to everybody. I've been really bad and I haven't, I'm sorry, I've been wicked busy.
Don't worry about it.
Like up to my eyeballs.
I'm sure.
Street acceptance, Paul Street Extension, I did send an email to Amanda Camp, the attorney, and letting her know. And I asked her to see if she could find out what was going on with that street lamp at the end, like if they had gotten any direction about what kind of street lamp they should put in. Is it our street lamp? Is it their street lamp? So she was gonna talk to Dave. And it just said Dave. It didn't say who Dave was or Dave's last name or any, it just said she was gonna talk to Dave.
Oh, David?
So-
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
He's
I
still
actually, I can check my
Yeah, my
email
neighbor.
right now.
Yeah, because obviously the snow's gone. I did take a ride down there. There's still quite a bit of construction going on. Jim Gracious.
He's moving slow. That's all right.
Let's see if, I don't think, I didn't see anything come in, but I was kind of busy. Yeah, I don't, no, I don't have anything from Amanda as far as, so I don't have an update on Paul Street. But I did let her know that we were gonna pick it up as soon as we could, see it and make a determination again, so. And then, that's kind of all I had. Do you guys have anything?
So,
Hall Street, you're waiting to hear from attorney.
okay.
I like her.
Oh, I like her a lot. She's great. So we're waiting from her to see if she's gotten a hold of David Garski. Just finishing things up.
All I saw was Dave. There's a lot of them out there. I don't know.
It's David Garski.
But that was a question that we had
Garski.
when we were looking at Paul Street. It looks like a lot of construction was going on still, and there was kind of, I don't know, there's just something awkward about that street lamp. I don't know what it is.
I don't know if you've been down there, Joy, this.
I have.
Kind of
It's
like a decorative lamp there, kind of sits at the end of the pole.
When I was down there, it was a mess. Because it was like, they were still like, I don't know what they were still doing. But there was like some curbs like not finished and.
That's what I'm saying about like approving.
There was a house with a lot of heavy equipment on the front yard, which may or may not be affiliated with any of the construction that's going on. There were some cones, but I think they had to do with like kids playing.
There
were
was
houses.
a basketball hoop out there when I went down, out in the middle of the road.
Kind of in the beginning of the new.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
But I think they definitely have some work to do on the street. Jim Gracious got to tell them the berms and all that.
Yeah. So what do we have for an extension on that?
I think I did.
No one has anybody else signed up on this thing?
No. They put it on and then we started to deal with when it snowed.
Then it got really snowy. To June 16th, I did another 90 days, so we're fine.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We got it.
Good.
When I did the extension, I didn't think it was ever going to not have snow on the ground, so.
Well,
for the maps.
well, we were all thinking that. When you talk to Attorney Kemp, you may want to mention to her that we did extend this out to June, so that...
Yeah, she asked me.
Oh,
She said,
okay.
do I need to
So
show
that
up
we-
and something? I
we
said,
need
no,
to-
not yet. I'm like, we're just trying to get the information. I'll let you know when we, properly pick
See
it
what
back
you
up
can-
and figure out what's going on.
Maybe at the next
So-
meeting we can have Mr. Garska and see what the plans are. Or when he's gonna be-
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Once
Yeah.
we set another meeting. Once you get back from her.
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Maybe invite one or both of them to the meeting.
No, it just seems like
Give us an update of where the roads are and.
Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
like we got called a little early on this one.
Yeah, that's what I was
Well, I
thinking.
think some of it's coming with the plowing there. I think they put them in a little ahead and, because they're afraid at some point the plowing may go away, because they are plowing roads,
Yeah,
which they wouldn't necessarily have to.
yeah, but we're not gonna accept it until it's finished,
That's
so...
what I'm saying. But
Do you wanna set the next meeting? It is on the agenda, so, or do you wanna just...
No, let's see what happens Wednesday with this public hearing, because maybe we have to do an emergency meeting because of this you know what I mean?
Someone might, one of the councilors, or two of the councilors could object to, I don't think they're going to, I don't see them, because it's not, to me, I don't see that this is a controversy. If this was a housing, the senior center was here, something maybe it'd be different.
Yeah.
So, all right, so, motion? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Hearing none.
Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.